What would you do if a single scratch on your pride and joy spiraled into a moment that changed everything? In the small town of Willow Creek, where the air smelled of hay and gasoline, my new truck was more than just a vehicle. It was a symbol of years of sweat, late nights, and dreams scraped together dollar by dollar. Its cherry-red paint gleamed under the July sun, parked outside Harper's feed store, where I'd stopped to grab a sack of grain for my horses. I was leaning against the tailgate, chatting with old man Harper about the drought, when I heard it. A sickening screech, metal on metal, like nails on a chalkboard. My heart sank as I turned to see her, Karen Mitchell, the town's self-appointed queen of complaints, standing next to my truck with a shopping cart wedged against its side. Her eyes met mine, and instead of apology, she scoffed. "Oh, relax, Jake. It's just a little scratch. You men and your toys." Her voice dripped with disdain, as if my truck, my pride, was nothing more than a child's plaything. The scratch ran a foot long across the driver's side door, a jagged scar on my perfect machine. My blood boiled, but I kept my voice steady. "Karen, you just damaged my property. You gonna take care of this?" She laughed a sharp, mocking sound and waved me off. "Take care of it? It's a truck, not a baby. Get over it." She turned to walk away, her cart rattling, leaving me staring at the gash in my truck's flawless finish. That's when something snapped. I dealt with Karen's antics before, her tirades at the diner, her complaints about kids on her lawn, but this was different. This was personal. I pulled out my phone and called Sheriff Daniels. He was there in 10 minutes, his cruiser kicking up dust in the parking lot. Karen was still inside the store, arguing with Harper about the price of chicken feed. When she saw the sheriff, her face twisted into that familiar scowl. "What's this about, Jake? You're wasting everyone's time over a scratch." "Ma'am," Sheriff Daniels said, his voice calm but firm, "I need to see your ID. We've got property damage here." Karen's jaw dropped, but she handed over her license, muttering about small-town vendettas. The sheriff inspected the scratch, took photos, and issued her a citation for reckless property damage. She'd have to pay a fine, maybe even cover the repair. As she stormed off, clutching the ticket, I felt a surge of vindication. Justice, I thought, had been served. But Willow Creek is a small town, and stories spread faster than wildfire. By evening, the incident was the talk of the diner, the bar, even the church group. Most folks laughed. Karen had it coming, they said, but a few gave me sidelong glances, whispering about how I'd overreacted. I brushed it off. I'd worked too hard for that truck to let someone like Karen ruin it without consequence. The next morning, I was at the auto shop, getting an estimate for the repair, when a stranger approached me. She was small, with graying hair and eyes that seemed to carry a lifetime of weight. "You're Jake, right?" she asked, her voice soft but steady. I nodded, wary. "I'm Ellen, Karen's sister. Can we talk?" I wasn't in the mood for another lecture, but something about her tone made me agree. We sat in the shop's waiting area, the smell of oil and rubber thick around us. Ellen clasped her hands tightly, like she was holding herself together. "Karen's not herself," she began. "She hasn't been for a while. I know what she did was wrong, but there's more to it." I leaned back, skeptical. "More to what?" She scratched my truck and acted like it was nothing. Ellen sighed, her gaze distant. "Karen's husband, Tom, passed away 6 months ago. Cancer. It was fast, brutal. She's been unraveling ever since, snapping at everyone, picking fights. That cart thing? It wasn't on purpose. She's just lost." I shifted uncomfortably. Tom Mitchell had been a good man, quiet but kind, always helping neighbors with their fences or hauling hay. His death had hit the town hard, but I hadn't connected it to Karen's behavior. Still, I wasn't ready to let her off the hook. "I'm sorry about Tom," I said, "but that doesn't give her a free pass to damage my property." Ellen nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "I know. I'm not asking you to forgive her. I just thought you should know why she's like this. She's not the monster everyone thinks." Her words stuck with me, like a splinter I couldn't pull out. I drove home, the estimate for the repair burning a hole in my pocket. $800. More than I could easily spare. That night I couldn't sleep, I kept seeing Karen's face. Not the scowl but the flicker of something else, pain. Maybe when the sheriff handed her the citation. Had I been too quick to call the law? The next day, I saw Karen at the feed store again. She was loading bags into her beat-up sedan, her movements slow, almost mechanical. I hesitated, then walked over. "Karen," I said, my voice softer than I'd intended. She froze, bracing for another fight. "I heard about Tom. I'm sorry." Her eyes narrowed, searching for a trap. "What do you want, Jake?" "Nothing," I said. "Just I didn't know. If you need help with the fine or the repair, we can work something out." She stared at me, her lips trembling, and for a moment, I thought she'd cry. Instead, she straightened up, her voice cold. "I don't need your pity. You got what you wanted. Leave me alone." She slammed her trunk and drove off, leaving me standing in the dust. I thought that was the end of it. But 2 weeks later, I got a call from Sheriff Daniels. "Jake, you need to come to the station." His tone was heavy, and my stomach dropped. When I arrived, he sat me down and slid a folder across the desk. Inside was a photo of my truck, the scratch now joined by a spray-painted word, "Jerk." My heart sank. "Karen's car was seen near your place last night," Daniel said. "She's denying it, but we've got witnesses. She's in a lot of trouble. No vandalism's a bigger charge than a citation." I felt a mix of anger and guilt, like oil and water churning in my gut. "What happens to her?" I asked. "Court date next month. Could be a hefty fine. Maybe jail time if the judge is harsh." I drove home, the word "jerk" glaring at me from the photo in my mind. I'd wanted justice, but this felt like something else, retribution, maybe spiraling out of control. I thought about Ellen's words, about Karen's unraveling. Had my call to the sheriff pushed her over the edge? The court date came faster than I expected. The courtroom was small, packed with familiar faces from Willow Creek. Karen sat at the defendant's table, her face pale, her hands folded tightly. Ellen was there, too, sitting in the back, her eyes red. I was called to testify about the vandalism. As I spoke, describing the spray paint, the damage, I saw Karen's shoulders slump. She didn't look at me. Then came the twist I hadn't seen coming. A kid, no older than 16, stood up in the gallery. His name was Tim, a part-timer at the feed store. "It wasn't Karen," he blurted out, his voice shaking. "I did it. I spray-painted the truck." The room went silent. Tim explained, his words tumbling out. He'd overheard Karen's argument with me, saw how upset she was, and thought he'd teach me a lesson for getting her cited. He'd acted alone, fueled by teenage impulsiveness and a misguided sense of loyalty to Karen, who'd been kind to him after his own dad died. The judge dismissed the vandalism charges against Karen, but the citation for the original scratch stood. She'd still have to pay the fine, maybe the repair cost if I pressed it. As she left the courtroom, our eyes met. There was no triumph in her gaze, only exhaustion. I dropped the repair claim. I couldn't bring myself to add to her burden. Not after Tim's confession. Not after seeing the weight she carried. But the damage was done not just to my truck, but to something deeper. Karen moved away a month later, and Ellen told me she'd gone to live with family in another state, trying to start over. My truck's fixed now, the scratch gone, the paint pristine again. But every time I drive past the feed store, I feel a pang of regret, sharp as that first screech of metal. I'd wanted justice, but all I'd done was deepen someone's pain. In Willow Creek, where stories linger like dust in the air, I'm left with one truth. Sometimes, the cost of being right is more than you can bear. ND.